Welcome to Salon Talks. I'm Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this lovely individual next to me is Betty Gilpin. She is an Emmy-nominated actor. She is an incredible author and essayist. You know her, of course, from Glow. I'm still mad that it was canceled. Know her from a million other things, including movies like The Hunt and Gaslit, the show Gaslit, and I love Isn't It Romantic?
Twist.
Yeah, love Isn't It Romantic? I always think of your when you were on Las Culturistas and you're like, Betty got cut. We want it more of Betty. Betty got cut, but we want it more of Betty. And now she is in the new mind-bending, mind-blowing show from the minds of Damon Lindelof and Tara Hernandez, Mrs. Davis. Where do I even begin on the show?
It's wild.
It's wild. It's comic, it's dramatic, it's futuristic, it's adventure.
Yeah.
Tell me who Mrs. Davis is.
So, Mrs. Davis, the show, is sort of takes place in a world not unlike our own. It's present day, but it's a society where a Siri or Alexa type algorithm called Mrs. Davis has kind of taken over and purports to be benevolent, is in everyone's ear in a fancy looking AirPod thing, and seemingly has all the answers and has fixed all the problems in the world. But there's a small faction of society, myself, Simone the Nun included, that believe she's evil and don't trust her.
And when you, I like how you just sort of casually like, Simone the Nun.
Yeah, Simone the Nun.
You play a nun.
I do.
You play a nun. You get to go through a lot of different versions of yourself in it as well. And now, I know this character was basically written or conceived with you in mind.
I don't know that that's true.
I've read interviews with David Lindelof where he said it was, and then you were very early on brought in the collaboration of creating this show and talking about the character.
Yeah.
So I want to know how, this is what I heard, David Lindelof saying, we were thinking like, if we could get like a Betty Gilpin type.
I mean, I wonder if that's like a kid glove, you're a very special poodle thing that they tell actors to sedate them when they enter a job. To be like, this was conceived with you in mind. We offered it to 10 other people before you. But that'd be so nice if it was. But, you know, I had worked with Damon Lindelof on The Hunt prior to this. And he and the genius Tara Hernandez wrote this insane script, and I read the pilot and had never read anything like it. I mean, it really is, in true Damon fashion and Tara Hernandez fashion, really hides your vegetables in 100 different genres. Like, I feel like oftentimes when we're faced with what to watch at the end of the day, it's either joyful and mindless or important and depressing. And they have a way of writing something that's important and joyful. And I had never really read anything like this, obviously. So yeah, it was a dream.
Yeah, it made me, watching this character, it made me think about just the title of your book.
All the women in my brain, yeah.
Right? Because she is all these women. She's
Yeah.
all these different characters. And I'm wondering if that's something that you drew on when you were playing her, knowing that she has so many different sides to her, and how you tapped into those different aspects of this character.
Yeah, she has so many different sides, and also the script has so many different tones. But I find that more like life than when you're doing a script or a character where you have to keep it one genre, one feeling, one color. You know, I also think I oftentimes play or read characters that are either sarcastic, wry, arms folded, eyebrow raised, have all the answers before you do, or super vulnerable, arms open, hopeful, gullible types. And I think that, maybe not gullible, but I think that Simone is sort of both of those things. Like, we see that she maybe started as the former, and then her faith has really exploded her into this other side where, you know, maybe she does love aspects of the world and have childlike hope, you know, where and I relate to that as a mom. You know, I feel like I was kind of a eye-rolly, middle finger in the air person until I had a baby. And then, suddenly I'm crying at a butterfly.
Right, you're
Heard
feeding
that
your
before.
child oatmeal and you're like, this is the most beautiful
Yes,
thing
yeah,
that's ever
exactly.
happened.
Yeah.
Right, 100%. And it's interesting because watching the show, it made me think of, I think one of the descriptions I read was it's about AI versus faith. And I kind of feel like it's about AI and faith.
Yeah.
It's about the ways in which we put our trust into something.
Yeah, and when we were filming it 6 months ago, we didn't know how prescient and of the time our show would be. ChatGPT wasn't as much a part of the headlines, at least, as it is right this second, and OpenAI. And I think even though our show is super out there and bonkers sometimes, it is very of this exact moment where we're sort of going, are you, to OpenAI, like, are you our savior or are you our downfall? Like, who, and I think a lot of the questions that my character is asking of this thing is a question I'm asking, which is, what do we lose when we have all the answers in our pocket? Do we stop asking the big questions? Are we gambling with access to the intangible and inexplicable, which are, of course, the things that make us human and shape us as individuals? I think if we have a robot puppy telling us who we are and what to do at all times, do we stop becoming interesting, well-rounded, good people?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're still finding it out, but I
Right.
wonder what it must have been like for you as an actor, going from being 6 months ago, where this was just kind of much more speculative,
Yeah.
to being in this moment in our reality now, where I think one of the reviews I said was like the eerily timely Mrs. Davis.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is scary. It freaks me out. I definitely saw OpenAI as a sort of, or ChatGPT, when I first started reading about it, it's like, it's just a corner of the world and news that I don't understand and I don't want to engage with. And, I'm rapidly realizing, we may not have a choice. And also, my daughter will have a whole different, her generation will be far more, interactive and have a different language with it than I do, so I can't shut it out totally. But it is nice to be doing something that I don't know, asks big questions, I think. I don't want to give away any spoilers, because part of the joy of the show is the twists and turns and shocking things that you can't believe you didn't figure out an episode before, and going back and seeing Easter eggs you may have missed. But there are so many aspects to this show that it was a joy to play, even if OpenAI is absolutely terrifying.
I'm scared too.
Yeah.
You said to me earlier when we were talking about how this was one of the most fun things you've ever done. And you've been very public about your journey as an actor, starting as someone who may have been typecast because of the way you look. And then you have Glow, which is this enormous breakthrough role for you. I want to know how Debbie changed your career and how she changed you as a person.
Yeah, in so many ways. I mean, Liz Flahive and Carly Mensch, who created Glow, were writers and producers on Nurse Jackie, which was kind of my big first TV job. And really up until then, I had done mostly off-Broadway theater and like episodes of cop and hospital shows here and there.
All the Law and Orders.
Yes, all the Law and Orders. Died on Criminal Intent and then came back within the same year as an alive person. And really thought, I went to the producers and was like, people are going to be taken out of it. And like, it happens all the time, no one cares. But yeah, I got this job on Nurse Jackie and, was sort of written, the character, I came on in season 5 and the character's purpose was sort of, let's have a ditzy doctor who takes off all her clothes all the time to kind of get viewers back in there. And I think Liz and Carly were the writers that realized, oh, that's a weird person, that's a character actor, and started kind of shaping the character to my strangeness, I think. And, you know, I think Debbie, the character in Glow that they wrote, they kind of wrote about that experience a little bit of kind of playing a certain thing aesthetically and then wanting to do these other things, or kind of Trojan horse those things into characters. And then, you know, Debbie kind of finds that through wrestling. And yeah, I think, so Liz and Carly kind of literally wrote out that map for me and gave me the opportunity to do all the things that I wanted to do on screen, which is such a gift. I mean, you know, I think so many actors, or maybe any creative person, feels like, oh, I'm only being asked to do 10% of what I can do. This is so frustrating. It's not that I'm not good, it's that I'm not given the opportunity. And I think that Glow in so many ways gave me that opportunity. And totally changed my life. And, you know, Mrs. Davis, even though it's 1,000 different genres per episode, like, this is 100% of what I want to do completely. And it's like the ultimate acting cat toy. And, you know, it's the jobs that ask you to do 5% that are the ones that you lose sleep over.
Right. And it's not like the industry has completely changed.
Yes, right. No.
It's not like everything's all better now
Yeah.
for females in Hollywood.
Right.
I want to ask you, because both of your parents are actors.
Yeah.
Did they give you advice when you kind of must have had some sense of what you were getting into when you started on this role? What did they tell you
when I got this part?
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, you know, my dad is an actor and an Episcopalian priest, so we talked more about nuns and religion in preparation for this part. But it's funny, my parents are two very different actors. My dad is like, I call him Atticus Finch. He's like a, you know, gravitas incarnate, plays, you know, solemn butlers and the lawyer you can trust, or can you? And my mom is farce incarnate, is, you know, like Lucille Ball, basically. And this part is very much a love letter to both of them. You know, Simone can be very serious. She's both a gravitas butler and Lucille Ball, or that's what I'm striving for. It was very strange trying to categorize this show as a comedy or a drama. I think they landed on drama just because it's hour long. Like, I fall in a lot of banana peels for a drama.
You get to be so funny.
Thanks.
You get to be so physically funny, and your comic timing, your line deliveries.
Thank you. It was some of the hardest laughs of my life were on this set. We just had so much fun together.
And now you have a daughter.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell her about? Like, if in a few years she's got
Please
her...
be a chemist and save the world.
She's got her 1.2 million followers on whatever
version
of TikTok.
No, that's not, she's way too smart for that. No, God, sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, she's a different personality type. I don't know. I'm hoping that we're the generation just driving without seatbelts and using, I just worry, you know, really approaching this part, thinking about the internet and the church. Two very different things, but it made me think, okay, these are both institutions that we created as a reaction to the human need for connection and asking big questions. So we made the internet and church. And I often think that we sometimes misuse those institutions to do the opposite of connecting and asking. It's like tunnel vision and disconnecting and echo chamber. And I think that maybe, hopefully, we're the generation using this thing to disconnect and make us dumber, when maybe Mary's generation, my daughter, another Mary, can figure out how to use it to actually connect us and make us smarter. Some people are using the internet for that. I am using it to make me dumber.
100%. If you want to get dumber, just
absolutely,
five
And you
minutes
know, she's 2.5. I'm snatching screens away from her like they're poison, and then I can't pee without watching a YouTube video. I'm completely addicted to that poison. So you know, I better get right with my relationship with it before I try to preach to her about what her relationship with it should be.
But is that part of why you left social media? Like I think you were on social media and then
I had Twitter for a second and then ran away. I have a private Instagram. I mean, I'm addicted like everybody else is. I'm sending, you know, people falling down videos to my various group chats. So yeah, I don't know. I need to get unaddicted to my private Instagram.
You're doing your best. We're all just doing our best.
Yeah, we are.
We're all just trying our best. And you're,
Totally.
you know, in the meantime, you're playing all these interesting, complicated women. So I have to ask about another complicated role you have coming up.
Yeah.
3 Women. Everyone is so excited about 3 Women.
Oh, great.
Finally coming.
Yes,
Stars. Tell
Mm-hmm.
me a little bit about 3 Women.
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with that book, 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. For those who don't know, she is an author who followed 3 real women in their lives, and it's about their personal lives, their sex lives, their relationship to desire. And I play Lena, who is a woman who lives in Indiana, has 2 kids, and has an affair with her high school flame. And, you know, I think that maybe part of the reason that I didn't work a lot in my 20s is mumblecore was king, and being cool and having low stakes and minimalism, and I've never been good at that. I like playing high stakes, playing to the mezzanine, making 1,000 choices. Whether it helps or hurts the piece, I don't know. But you know, Lena is such a character who, even though she's in a minivan in Indiana, is playing to the mezzanine, and the stakes are so high for her. And one of my favorite characters I've ever played. I adored that experience. And I'm so happy it found a home in Stars.
I'm excited. We have to wait a little while for that one, but in the meantime, we've got plenty to keep us busy.
Yes.
With Mrs. Davis.
Yes.
Betty Gilpin, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Mary
It's a pleasure.
Elizabeth.
The show, once again, is called Mrs. Davis. It's on Peacock, and you can watch it now.